You know, how much more biblical does it have to get until people pick up their Bibles, right? Dust off that old book on your shelf and maybe even open it up and read it a little bit. How much worse does it have to get? Like, how bad does it have to get on this planet before we start to take God a little more seriously? Anyway, thanks for listening.
For yielding pacifies great offenses.
Want to read that again for the camera?
If the spirit of the ruler rises up against you, do not leave your place, for yielding will bring great offenses.
So what do you think that means?
Well, it means just what it says. The ruler is trying to dictate, and if you do not resist, they will be pushing.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And then what's the other half of the verse?
Because yielding, I'm changing pacifies to yielding will bring about greater offenses. In other words, it'll just be, you give the little finger and pretty soon you've lost your hand.
Everything. That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because all the tyrant knows to do is just take and take and take, and
Yeah.
until there's some kind of pushback
Yeah.
Yeah.
from the people, then they'll just be like, that's kind of what I see, I don't know, through the COVID thing and everything too. It's like a worldwide test of how compliant will people be. This dictate, and they'll just keep using it for whatever.
Sure.
Whatever, it's like the Pandora's box.
Yeah,
It's
it
opened
is.
up now, and it's like, okay, well, what else can we pass or get away with in the name of this pandemic or whatever?
Yeah.
Just like the war on terror thing just kind of kept going on and on and on. Now it's gone from terrorism to a viral outbreak that there's no human agent, supposedly, even though there's a lot of speculation that it came from
sure.
Wuhan or something, but there's no human agent that you can blame
No.
for all this tyrannical measures all over the world because everything's in the name of COVID, and so it's just like an act of nature.
Yeah, exactly.
And we all just have to react to it with the same like strict kind of authoritarian government measures in order to curb the spread. And it's just like, when does it end? The way they talk about it, it's just like it's new normal now. It's never going back to normal. We're just going to be in this new world now from now on out. It's like, I don't know. I just think
I
there's a
understand
bigger
that,
agenda
but
behind
on the other
everything.
hand, of course, having lived in Europe, in my hometown, they had a hospital that was called the Epidemics Hospital. That was way back in. I would say that hospital was at least 100 years old when I was born, and that was the only way they could curb leprosy and typhoid fever and all the things that came along.
Right.
And from that perspective, you can't really blame the government. I mean, there would have been millions of people dying. They just said,
Right.
go there, and you are not going to be in contact with other people and spread the disease.
Right.
That's a quandary of it.
Which was
That it makes logic.
well, it's a tricky, when you're talking about people's lives and potential.
Exactly.
If you don't act accordingly, then you could be at risk of killing hundreds of people. But that's during, from what you call, like those were actual real pandemics, right?
They were real. Well, they were not pandemics. They were epidemics. I
Epidemics.
guess you would call them.
As opposed to like 0.004 or less survival rate from.
Well, see, they had
Corona.
They had, of course, leprosy. That was a big thing. They did a big excavation in my hometown and found all these skeletons. In fact, I got one part of it. One little bone from it, just to use as a sermon illustration.
Wow.
But
human bone fragment.
Yeah. So anyway, that was in the year about 1000, and then in the 1500s, it killed tens of millions of people in Europe. The Black Plague.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you had to do something to control it. And I think that's the sinister part of it is that it makes such logical sense from a human standpoint. It really does make sense that you have to control this global warming, and you have to control the disease, and you have to take an injection, and you have to it all makes sense from a secular and human standpoint.
Right.
Which is the sinister part of it.
Yeah, that's almost this dark age mentality of like, assuming people are guilty of doing things that they're not even, active.
Yeah, they're not even actively involved.
Like the whole thing where like you better wear a mask or you could kill who knows X amount of people.
Yeah.
But you're basically attributing guilt to people for something they've actually
just living.
No conscious awareness of what they're doing, right? So it's almost like this witch hunt. That's how I get it too. I don't know. It's kind of like this return to the dark age.
Well, the only
original sin type mentality of like, running around trying to find people that are killing people completely out of their own free will. Nobody can control how a virus spreads, and they can't. All their whole speculation was all based on models because there's no way they can actually track how things spread in the real world, the complexity of like how particles spread through the air and stuff like that.
Right. When you were walking out of the store and take off your mask, maybe something hangs in the air.
For hours too, indoors.
The only counter argument that I would give, and it's not being the devil's advocate, but here's the thing, Governor Polis, there are two opposite movements going on. One is we want to control you, and the other one is I'm destroying my state. I'm destroying my economics. That's why it doesn't really completely make sense to me that he would do that, just for control, because at the end, control what? You got a state that is completely and totally wrecked
Well, a lot of
economically. Why would he want that?
A lot of these governors are just following, like Jay Inslee. He's the guy in Washington who my friend's running against for governor, and he was hiring some kind of global consulting group to give him advice on how to handle Corona. And it was something like 100-some thousand a week, and that's what he got some flack for, like spending the taxpayer dollars for that. And Polis and all these other governors are all lockstep, passing the exact same legislative measures at the exact same timing.
Mm-hmm.
All these different governors are, so they're following orders from somebody.
They are following orders from somebody. That's
And-
obvious.
I don't know, my speculation is from what I've read and researched is they're basically the WHO, World Health Organization,
Yeah, probably.
has got a certain amount of guidelines, and these experts are following them. And the WHO is just a branch of the UN, and the UN wants to get rid of nation states, and they want a world order. That's
Yeah, sure.
their whole agenda. And the Pope back in 2010 called for a UN with teeth and a centralized financial system headed by a religious figure. Who do you think
Yeah.
that would be?
That would be him.
So this was 10 years ago. The Pope called for a UN with teeth. That's what I think we're seeing right now is they're just following these blindly because they don't know any better. They're not experts of like epidemiology and all this stuff.
Exactly. They have no
So they're going to
clue.
follow the experts. The problem is the experts are giving them the type of advice that's going to destroy our economy.
Yeah.
They're going to take down our nations through this pandemic. That's
Yeah,
the way
they
I
are. This
Because
is
that's the agenda. That's what they
it
want.
is
Yeah.
the agenda.
take us to our knees.
Yeah.
So that we're desperate for a new way, a new global body that'll we'll move in, we'll take care of y'all, like
Yeah.
put y'all on this new financial standard.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's a lot of different agendas at play, and a lot of these governors are just blindly following these appointed experts, even if they contradict the science. They're at the head of these agencies, but those agencies are corrupt, and they have a bigger, broader agenda than just our overall health.